Hi guys and girls, Satanico here from Godlovescomics, and while God may love comics, I haven't always given much love to modern comics. I'm a Bronze Age, Silver Age fan, but it's not that I dislike modern comics. Certainly there was a very dark ages of the 90s in which comics were at their most crass and commercial, and often pretty disgusting in their multiple foil silver covers. And interestingly, they have gotten back to that to some degree with some of the foil covers, and certainly with the pervasiveness of variant covers. But I don't really dislike the variant covers if collectors like them, if fans like them, if they support publishing and they're of good quality, using good quality artists, and as long as the main title, which people may be hooked on, still provides great covers and the same quality of work, and people don't have to track down variants for $30 or $40. There's a Star Wars variant that came out for Darth Vader #1, which I had never heard of, but then I saw on a Facebook group that particular variant, a guy was trying to purchase it for $30, and in fact it was selling routinely on eBay for $60, and it was a brand new comic in 2017, which is, genuinely collectible if people are willing to pay $60, but it was just a $3 comic with a variant, a nice cover, but that's a pretty pricey release. But anyway, I actually got a short box of comics, and I was reminded of how amazing this purchase was and how expensive comics are now, because I actually went to a comic store and I actually finally bought a few new comics last week, and I think I bought I bought 2 trade paperbacks, both Tokyo oh boy I was just reading Tokyo Ghost, with Rick Remender and Sean Murphy, I believe. But I bought Tokyo Ghost 1 and 2, which was $25 for the pair, which isn't terrible for trade paperback. In fact, number 1 was $10, so that's perfectly fine. And then I bought 3 other comics, and just regular pamphlet comics, and I think my bill was like $40. That's a lot. That's a lot for basically five books. Granted, 2 were trade paperbacks. But what I'm about to show you is a short box that I purchased filled with modern comics for $75. All bagged and boarded in a short box. That price is pretty extraordinary when you think that almost every single one of these comics is a minimum of $2.99. Some of them are as much as $9.99, and most of them are around $3.99, $4.99. So the amount of money that he put into purchasing these comics and then selling them for $75, it was certainly a worthwhile buy for me. I purchased them with the thought that I would just sell them at a yard sale that I was going to have, but I ended up quite liking the way they looked, at least on the covers. I haven't cracked any open. I haven't read them. But I was impressed that modern comics look a lot better than I anticipated. It's not that as if I haven't seen any, but I was familiar with Greg Capullo, for Batman and the Court of the Owls stuff. I didn't read it, but I've seen it, and I thought it was really nicely drawn. But the point is that it was a fantastic deal, and I asked the guy why he was getting rid of them. He was a, really handsome, buffed up guy who had just left the gym. So, the profile of the typical comics fan has certainly changed considerably over the years. But his only explanation was that he's more into Star Wars than he is into comics. So whether he has Star Wars comics, that would be an interesting question. But so he sold the short box for $75, and I do not regret the purchase. So we're going to look through that right now. So right away is a Deadpool number 8, and I would be remiss if I didn't say that I have never read Deadpool, and I have not seen the movie. I have nothing against it. I like Ryan Reynolds perfectly fine. I'm very happy for him to finally be in a good superhero movie. Apparently he was in not a very good one in Green Lantern, which I also haven't seen. But I haven't read these. I understand that Deadpool is supposed to be a very funny comic, and but right off the bat, I like the cover. It's Mike Allred. It's instantly recognizable as Mike Allred. I continue to be a Mike Allred fan, so that's already a good find. And as you can see, it's number 8, and it is $3.99. So Deadpool number 9, another Mike Allred cover. Deadpool number 10, really nice cover, again by Mike Allred. And then this is interesting. Deadpool number 7. It says 25th anniversary, which I assume is a joke. I don't know if Deadpool's been around that long. Maybe he has. Was he created by Rob Liefeld? I believe so, but I'm not sure. But this is a $9.99 comic. It's $10. So 10 4 18 22. That is what, 4 comics, and it's already 22 value at retail price. So that's pretty insane. That's Deadpool number 6. That is definitely not a Mike Allred, but that I don't know, maybe a variant. Let's take a quick look and see if that's a variant. Number 6. Yes, 6A. It is a variant, and it's valued on my comic shop at very fine for $8. I would say this is near mint. It's boarded and bagged. And the cover art is by Scott Koblish. I don't particularly like the cover art. I wouldn't buy it, but there you go. And that's good, because I'd be happy to sell it. And it does introduce Deadpool 2099, whatever that means. This is Deadpool number 5. And again, I don't know if Mike Allred did all the mainstream covers, the main frame covers, and or if he just started for a short run. This is just the standard cover. And this is Deadpool number 4. Number 3.1. And presentando a massacre el Deadpool mexicano. So 3.1. So they're appealing to the Latino fan base. Let's see, 3.1, no idea. Okay, 3.1. No, it's just $4, standard book. And that's 3. And here we take a switch. The last time I saw Howard the Duck, it was probably in the Defenders from the 1980s. But Howard has a new series, apparently, by Chip Zdarsky. And that is Howard the Duck number 5. It's actually a pretty nice cover. This is Howard the Duck number 4 with Doctor Strange. And this is Deadpool again, number 20. And Deadpool number 19. Deadpool number 18, Civil War 2. And then the JLA number 2. It's actually a pretty nice cover. By Brian Hitch. I'm not sure if he's just writing it or if he's the artist getting top billing, but okay, so already off to a good start. Let's get another stack. And as you can see, I know very little about these comics. This is Batman Annual, number 1, from the DC Rebirth. So I guess Rebirth has been around for at least a year, and has a lot of different artists and writers involved, including Snyder, Paul Dini, Finch, and that's all that I recognize. That's Deadpool Civil War II, number 17. So he's got a little bit of crinkled up bag here. Deadpool 16. Deadpool 15. Deadpool 14. These are not books I would particularly be interested in buying, unless they were basically for free, which they were. It's a pretty heavy duty book again, and here we go again. Deadpool 13 variant edition, and it is $9.99 retail price. Now let's look up the variant edition, see if that's even worth more, at least by my comic shop standards. Okay, well, no, this is quite strange. My comic shop, which generally I think overprices everything a little bit, lists this at $3. So you're saying that you paid $10 for a comic book that is now selling for $3. That's not a good value, and I'm not quite sure why. I thought, I know that not all variants are incredibly valuable. Meanwhile, this is 13C. Meanwhile, 13B, some people have it on consignment for $75 and very fine, so that's a bit absurd as well. This is Deadpool number 12. Let's pull my camera back up so I can see what I'm doing. And Deadpool number 11. That's Mike Allred again. Howard the Duck number 11. My arm looks pretty bad. Howard the Duck number 10. Number 9. Number 8. Number 7. A nice Tyrannosaurus Rex cover. Number 6. Number 5. Number 4 with Galactus. Number 3 with quite a caricature of the Silver Surfer. Number 2. Number 3 again, so this number 3 must be one of these is a variant. And number 2. And presumably there's a number 1 in this box. But that's a pretty complete early run of the new Howard the Duck, I see. Let's see. Okay, and there it is. Howard the Duck number 1. Deadpool Annual number 1. Deadpool number 23. Almost looks like an all-red cover, but it's not. Number 22. Another Howard the Duck number 1. With spring. And Deadpool number 1. Oh no, I'm sorry, number 21. And again, $10. You have to be rich to be a comics collector, to actually be a comics fan these days. I mean, $10. It's considerable. In fact, the Tokyo Ghost trade paperback I paid $9.99 for, so actually the same price. and a bit more material in that, I will say. And that is Spider-Man Deadpool number 3, Spider-Man Deadpool number 2, Spider-Man Deadpool number 1, plus a special bonus book, The Vision number 1, Deadpool Cable number 3, Deadpool Cable number 2, number 1, I do believe. Sometimes they put ones on these covers and it's not actually a 1. Deadpool Marks for Money number 3, number 2, number 1, and number 5. Those are not books I ever anticipated owning. But I will say that when I told the guy that I was going to probably sell these at a yard sale, he seemed a little bit pained, and I think he also probably felt a little bit of the melancholy, a little bit of the regret of having to, he didn't have to. He clearly wasn't destitute, or, I didn't get the impression that he had to pay his rent. Got the impression that maybe he met a new girl and maybe wanted to get rid of his childish things, so to speak. But meanwhile, I'm sure he has Star Wars toys around his apartment. But the point is that I told him I was going to sell these at a yard sale, probably for $1 or $2 each, and he was like, well, definitely don't do that with the Deadpools. They're valuable. And he actually said he thought about taking them out of the package, out of the box, but then he thought that wouldn't be fair because he had advertised the full Shortbox, and I agreed with him on that. But in retrospect, I was a little bit sad for him. It's always a little bit of a sad thing when you see people giving up their comics collections. Perhaps a little less sad when you consider that he said he was just a Star Wars fan, so perfectly fine. Deadpool number 4. Number 3. There are quite a lot of Deadpools in here. These are all Mercs for Money again, whatever the difference is. That's number 2. That's number 1. Deadpool and Thanos, or Verse Thanos, by Ron Lim. Number 3. Number 2. Number 1. Oh, okay. Well, things get interesting. Martian Manhunter, which is, that's news to me that Martian Manhunter even has a series. I think that's pretty interesting, and, it's not a bad cover. That was number 2. This is number 1. It's the JLA. Number 10. Hitch and Tony Bedard. JLA number 9. Actually, this copy, I got a copy of this out of the dollar bin. I didn't know it was in the dollar bin on Free Comics Day, just because, again, $4 comic, so I figured it was worth $1. It was brand new, and so I guess I've got a duplicate copy of that. And it's actually a pretty nice cover, so not a problem. Number 8. Number 7. Number 6. Number 5. And number 4. Let's grab a few more and see. Number 3. With kind of a throwback Wonder Woman cover variant, Bombshells. Actually has a price tag down at the bottom here that says $6, so he bought this new as a variant. The cover price is $4, so that's a little bit of a sham that I guess comic stores are getting away with now, where the retail price is $4, but they pull out the variants and maybe tack on a few more dollars depending on how popular they are, and I don't know. Doesn't seem right, but whatever. JLA number 2 and JLA number 1, and it felt pretty thick, so I'm wondering, yeah, $6. If you can see that, maybe you can't, it's too far up. Yeah, $6. Deathstroke number 2, Deathstroke Annual number 2. And comics have changed quite a lot. The annual is $5, a regular copy is $3, and number 1 of JLA is $6. I'm just amazed by the prices. But you can tell me right now, you think I got a good deal? Retail wise, I mean, I'm sure this collection is well over $100 so far. I would think it's got to be closing in on maybe $200. We've already seen what, 3 $10 comics, a multitude of $4 and $5 comics, and I do know there is a piece de resistance in here. Okay, still have about almost half a box left. Only be a quarter after I finish this little stack. That is Deathstroke number 1. Number 20. It almost looks like he's fighting Doctor Strange there, but I assume that's Ra's al Ghul. That's a little bit of the Doctor Strange sort of Fu Manchu mustache going. Number 19. Number 18. Number 17. That is Ra's al Ghul. Number 16. Number 15. Oh, Bizarros. Blood of the Bizarros. It's pretty fun. Anytime Bizarro appears in anything. Number 8. Seeing more of Wonder Woman than you've ever seen before because they had a movie coming out. And that's a Tony Daniel cover, which is pretty nice. Tony Daniel, of course, worked with Todd McFarlane on Spawn, as Greg Capullo did. And they seem to have learned quite a lot and do much nicer work now that they're on DC. It's a little bit less busy, less noodly, certainly less, not as dark, I would say. Deathstroke number 7. Batman number 12. The Catwoman. Batman number 11 with Bane. Batman number 10. 9, again with Bane, and that is a Tim Sale cover, 2016. So it's nice to see Tim Sale still doing cover art for DC. Number 8, Batman number 2 with Solomon Grundy, and that's again Tim Sale. I don't know about number 8. I don't believe is Tim Sale, who of course did Batman: The Long Halloween with Jeff Leb, and I did some sort of retro Daredevil as well with Jeff Leb. He's probably done quite a lot more, obviously, but nice covers. And Solomon Grundy is a fun villain, along with Bizarro. You throw in a Solomon Grundy, a Gorilla Grodd, and a Bizarro, I'll probably at least flip through it. That's Batman number 1, Batman Rebirth number 1. If that makes a difference, I'm not sure. Deathstroke number 14. Deadpool vs. Gambit number 1. This guy was really a Deadpool fan. Dropped a lot of money on Deadpool. Spider-Man Deadpool number 9. Deadpool vs. Gambit number 2. Deadpool vs. Gambit number 3 variant edition. Deadpool vs. Gambit number 5. Trying to prevent the remaining comics from now getting crushed as the box is getting smaller and smaller. I actually have another, probably this handful and one more. This is Deadpool vs. Gambit, number 4. Number 2. Pretty crazy cover. Number 1, I suppose. Deadpool, The Last Days of Magic, number 1. Humberto Ramos cover. But, man, so many Deadpool spin-offs. I had no idea. Deathstroke number 8. Deathstroke number 7. Number 6. Number 5. Number 8. Spider-Man Deadpool number 7. A Marvel Super Spectacular Convention Chaos. So, it might be interesting. Number 6. Number 5. And number 4 with female Thor. Number 4 of Deathstroke. Yes. Deathstroke 3. Pretty nice cover. Deathstroke 13. With Harley Quinn and a villain called Snakebite. Number 12, another Harley Quinn. Number 11, Suicide Watch. Number 10, also by Tony Daniel. Number 9 by Tony Daniel. And number 3 of All-Star Batman, which looks like a John Romita Jr. cover, which I like. I like John Romita Jr. There is a, let's move these. There is a documentary on YouTube. It's not a very professional documentary, but it was kind of fan-made, I suppose. But it takes place in a comic book store, and you have some pretty curmudgeonly, typical 40-year-old, 50-year-old, and I guess the store owners, maybe in their 60s, I'm not sure, but comic store retailers and their regular fans who come into the store, and there seemed to be a very universal sort of disdain for John Romita Jr. They don't like his style. He's very stylized and sort of angular sort of approach that he slowly developed, and I actually admire. First of all, I like his work, but I also admire the fact that he was able to establish a real career and a name for himself in the wake of his father, who was, of course, legendary, and established his own style as well. So, but they really dislike John Romita Jr., and they really dislike Grant Morrison, who is far too cryptic and strange. All-Star Batman number 4. Batman and Robin Eternal number 1. Detective Comics. Okay, DC Rebirth. Detective Comics number 942. So they rebirthed, reborn. They started Batman again, started their universe again, but maybe this is the one comic they wanted to maintain continuity on in terms of numbers, because let's face it, I mean, if it is actually number 942, then that means they're bearing down on issue 1000, which would be quite a incredible sort of landmark in terms of comics. I cannot think of another comic that has an issue number 1000, but and I think I'm reading that right. It says 942. This is Batman Rebirth number 1. Thought I saw that already, but maybe not. And here we go. Here we go right here. Okay, Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, once again, I've never seen a Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Proud to say. Even though they've been fairly ubiquitous in our culture for 20, 30, 40 years, ever since Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird created them. And Peter Laird went on to create the Xeric Fund, which is generally used to give, I believe, $5,000 to worthy young artists to self-publish their own work. And I know David Cho was one of the benefactors of the Xeric Fund, as well as a lot of other artists. A lot of them who probably never went on to do very much after that, but still, it was a very charitable sort of thing that Peter Laird did, and he was a co-creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And Kevin Eastman went on to, after his disaster with Tundra Publishing, went on to buy Heavy Metal magazine, and I think he continues to own that to this day, but I'm not positive. But anyway, I've never owned a Mutant Ninja Turtles comic, and I've never seen the movies, but that's number 5. This is number 4. This is number 3. And then here is probably the jewel of this entire box. And why, you would say, it's only Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 2. But apparently it is the first ever meeting. Apparently they did not meet in issue number 1. They met in number 2. And I guess that is something of a cultural landmark. And as a result, this comic, which sold for $4, is legitimately on Amazon right now for $37 to $42. They have one used copy, and it is $17 in very good condition. Which, when I say very good, in collector's parlance, that's less than fine, less than very fine, certainly less than near mint. And I would say, at least in the bag, this looks near mint. It looks barely red. But the point is, and there are only 2 copies, I think there are 4 copies of the new book, and it's not one of those cases where it's just somebody put a crazy price at $40 and then, you can find stacks of them for $5 a piece. They're legitimately selling apparently for about $40 a piece right now. Now, whether should I keep this indefinitely and at some point it'll be worth $500? Should I sell it now because the bottom's going to fall out when it gets reprinted and it'll go back down to like $3 or $4? Should I just keep it for posterity's sake? I have no idea. But as you know, generally, when I've spoken about comics in the past, I've only spoken, first of all, I've spoken much more about the artwork because I was much more familiar with Bronze Age and Silver Age comics and things from at least the 80s and 70s. But aside from that, generally I speak primarily for the aesthetic value and not the monetary value. I bought this box purely for the monetary value. $75 for a short box sounded like a good deal to me for all new comics. Just the bags and the boards and the short box that it came in, that would cost you $30. Throw in this. If I could sell it for $30, that's $60. Oh, and one other thing. I have already sold 4 Wonder Woman comics from this. And I sold them exactly at cover price. There was a girl on Facebook, on one of the collectors and sellers groups or whatever, who was looking for 6 or 7 issues of the latest incarnation of Wonder Woman, which I'm sure is pretty popular at the moment because the movie is popular, and I haven't seen that yet either. But she was looking for 4 issues, and so I told her, she was looking for like 6 or 7. I told her I had 4 of the ones she was looking for, and I would give them to her for cover price, $3 each, plus $6 shipping. So, I made no, I still made money on even on that, I assume, but so I sold those for $12. That's what I'm saying. This could be a $30 comic, just conservatively at the moment. So I've already made back everything I spent and more if I should sell these. And the best thing about these is that I have no sentimental attachment to them whatsoever, and not really any aesthetic attachment to them. I mean, I like the Mike Allred covers, and some of these, the art on some of these looks very nice, and so these were bought purely from a sort of collector's standpoint of just the deal was too good to pass up. And when you consider that all of these retail modern comics are $4 a pop, absolutely. Shortbox holds what? 125, 130, really depends, maybe more, maybe less. So times, just conservatively, say 100 comics, and I'm pretty sure there's more than that. Say 100 comics, again, conservatively times 3, $300. So there you go. And that's Batman and Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, and that's probably, I think that's worth more than the $4 cover price as well. But #2 is sort of the crown jewel, which is frankly quite shocking that there is any kind of comic that appreciated that much, because these are all from 2016, 2017, I believe. 2015 maybe the earliest. So to buy a Bronze Age comic, you literally had to sit on it for 30 years before you got to see it accrue in any value. And probably if you bought that off the shelves, you probably have a sentimental attachment to it and had no intention of selling it in the first place. This is quite different, and that's a pretty good purchase. And I have no idea what this is. This is Star Trek and the Planet of the Apes. Boom Studios seems to be one of these, like IDW, which is kind of, they seem to be trying to sort of make movie properties and probably make comics that will be optioned into movies, which is probably the sole reason they exist. But this is not even a comic. This is, I don't know if you can see, the side. It is, it's just like corrugated cardboard. So it's some kind of promo, but it's actually shrink wrapped. It says Nerd Block at the bottom, whatever. And on the back, Garbage Pail Kids. That's coming back. And Peter Bagge, Dean Haspiel. I know those two. I think I know Bill Ray as well. Peter Bagge, I like. And I've always hated the Garbage Pail Kids. It was a really incredibly grotesque sort of, I believe, bubblegum card sort of thing. And surprisingly, I think Art Spiegelman actually worked on Garbage Pail Kids. Art Spiegelman famously did Mouse, and that's pretty much what he's most famous for. He did a book on 9/11 also, I think, called something about the Two Towers. Anyway. Okay, and that is the only comic so far that is not bagged or boarded. It's Justice League #7. Apparently he did not value that comic. And that's nice. Batman Day #1, free. So that's from a free comic book day from maybe 2016 or 2015. I wasn't in attendance, so I would have never had it. And actually, that's a really nice one. Oh, it says Capullo 14, so maybe it's 2014 or 2015. And a really nice cover by Greg Capullo, with some of the JLA, and looks like Cyborg. So that's nice. Batman and the Power Rangers. Justice League and the Power Rangers #1. So that's probably a movie tie-in as well. Boom Studios again, and the Power Rangers came out with a movie probably right around that time. So that's why that exists. Whether it's of any value or not, I don't know. One interesting thing right here, Taylor and Byrne. So that catches my eye. That could not possibly be John Byrne. If it is, be very interesting indeed. So this is the first comic that we're actually going to look inside. Something I do pretty regularly with the other comics haul videos, but this does not look like John Byrne art. Not even remotely, but of course they're not going to tell you on the first page and make it easy. Very simplistic sort of animated style art, but lacking all of the charm and the skill of a Mike Allred, of course, or of any of the character of Mike Allred. Pretty much paint by numbers. Not terrible. It's a nice little. Never been into Power Rangers, but that's actually a pretty nice splash. And are they ever going to tell you who the artist is? Even though I think I've already derived by now that it's definitely not John Byrne. It's somebody called Stephen Byrne. If that's John Byrne's son, I will fall off this chair. But that's something I'll have to look up. So, Deathstroke number 10, Batman number 13, Justice League number 6, Justice League and Suicide Squad number 1, probably came out in nearly in conjunction with the Suicide movie, which was absolutely abysmal, absolutely unwatchable garbage. I still feel dirty after seeing that piece of trash. That's a nice cover. Nightwing number 6. And something called Gwenpool, the Unbelievable Gwenpool, which I've heard of now, but initially I was a little bit surprised by this. And I'm not even sure, is that Gwen Stacy, who once upon a time died in a Spider-Man story? Or, I don't know. I would think that might be. And she's, morphed with Deadpool. I'm not sure. And, yeah. The last stack. Let me sit these here. Look what you've gone and made me do. I have to put all of these back in the box now. This is Gwenpool number 4. It's a nice cover, and that looks like MODOK, which instantly makes it more fun. If you can put MODOK in there and Batroc the Leaper, that's almost as good as the DC's Solomon Grundy Bizarro. Yes, that certainly looks like MODOK to me. It's pretty amusing. MODOK was quite the good villain back in the day. Gwenpool number 2, and she's fighting Thor. Pretty nice covers. And number 1, and also a nice cover too. It's a lot of fun, very bright, and you can see how that would appeal to a lot of young girls. This is probably Marvel's attempt to compete with Harley Quinn, who is probably the most popular cosplay character in the world, in the known universe right now. And the thing is there are so many iterations of Harley Quinn that 50, 60, 70 young ladies can go dressed as Harley Quinn, and they can all be in a different iteration, which I guess makes them feel a little bit more special. So, this is All-Star Batman number 5, and that's by Greg Snyder and John Romita Jr., Danny Miki, another Todd McFarlane acolyte, or someone who learned at the feet of Todd. All-Star Batman number 6. Might be a cover by Jock. Yes, looks like it. Justice League and Suicide Squad number 4. Deathstroke number 9. Justice League and Suicide Squad number 3. Batman number 14. Another Tim Sale cover. Very nice. And, yeah. Making out with Catwoman. Deadpool number 24. Justice and Suicide number 2. Wonder Woman number 1. That is not one of the issues that the girl I sold to wanted, so I was happy to keep that one. And actually a really nice cover. And sort of unsurprisingly, DC with the Wonder Woman movie coming out at the time, you know, obviously put a lot of work into Wonder Woman the comic and putting some of their best talent on it with Greg Rucka. I believe the artist's name is Liam Sharp. And nice covers. Wonder Woman number 11. Number 13. Number 14. And last but not least, and this is the only issue of this character in this box, so I'm a little bit surprising. It looks quite different than the character that I remember from the old days. It is Star-Lord number 1. Looking a little bit like a goofy Chris Pratt, and Chris Pratt is pretty goofy already, so that's saying something. And that's it. That is an entire short box. It's completely empty. And once again, $75 for that short box. I feel perfectly fine with that purchase and pretty happy with it. If you've seen any variants that are of any particular value or see anything you want to buy, feel free to contact me. But best of all, just leave a comment. And if you like this video, by all means subscribe. There'll be a lot more content coming up in the future. It's going to be very different from this, but I do have some more new comics that I'm going to show, only a small handful. But coming up next will probably be some more Bronze Age comics, and we'll get back to reading some more V for Vendetta and a lot of other things in the works, as I kind of try to sharpen up my editing skills, which are non-existent, as you may know by watching this video. But anyway, that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.